And
Okay, cool.
go. Now it's ready.
Cool.
Okay. I'm here with Tabmok99, Mortal Kombat fan extraordinaire.
That's right. Tabmok99, the Mortal Kombat super fan.
Yep. And also one of the creators of the fan-made game, Shujinko's, like the Shujinko game.
Yes, the Shujinko game. That's right. Boy, that was over 10 years ago.
Yeah.
People still find out about it and play it.
Yeah, and you can find it at the Combat Pavilion.
That's true. It's still there for download. If anyone wants to give it a shot.
And it's also behind, like, one of the two main streamers, like main hosts of the Mortal Kombat Online stream on Twitch, and now Mixer.
Now Mixer, yes, we moved to Mixer. And of course, staff member on the website, which is still at the same place, www.mortalkombatonline.com.
Yep. Formerly mk5.org.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You go way back. You remember all this stuff. Yes, the Combat Pavilion, Mortal Kombat Online, the Shujinko game. Other stuff that I've done includes Conquest of the Kamidogu with the legendary Bezo. I think the main thing I was probably known for back in the day was as an MK Online staff member going to events like E3, Midway Gamers Day, Comic Con, Game Stars Live, other events such as this to interview the developers like Ed Boon, John Tobias, and many others. And of course, in recent times, been fortunate enough to continue going to events like Combat Con, C2E2. I just got back the other day from one right here called Free Play Florida. So it's been a blast, man. I love being a part of the Mortal Kombat community and doing these things. Yeah, it's awesome.
Okay, so let's get down to brass tacks and start with the questions.
Okay.
When was the first time you played a Mortal Kombat game?
Oh, okay. My very first experience with Mortal Kombat. It was probably the day that it was released on home systems, back on Mortal Monday in 1993, if not slightly after that. I was already dimly aware of Mortal Kombat. I'd seen posters for it. I'd seen commercials for it on TV. I had, of course, picked up on it here and there. You hear people talking. But I first actually played it when my friends rented it from Blockbuster Video on their Sega Genesis. So for those of you watching in Europe, that's the equivalent of the Sega Mega Drive. But they rented it, and somehow they knew the blood code. They knew about ABAC, ABB. They put the blood code in, and we were playing it, and we were doing fatalities and stuff like that. It was absolutely amazing. That was my first experience with Mortal Kombat, and I was hooked, and I've been a huge Mortal Kombat nerd ever since.
Who is your favorite Mortal Kombat character?
Oh yeah, it's a tough one. I'm old school, so I go way back. So it's all the old people are my favorites. For the lore and the story-wise, I love Scorpion. I just thought it was so great how he was killed and he was sent to hell and he escaped and he came back to the realm of the living just to get revenge, just to kill the guy that killed him. I thought that was awesome. His moveset was great. The get over here. Pulling him in for, with the spear and then doing an uppercut afterwards. I thought Scorpion was great, especially in the first game. And by the second game, though, when Shang Tsung became playable and you could do the morphs and you could literally do any move in the game, that was my go-to guy. I learned all the moves, all the fatalities, everything. And every time I play MK2 to this day, I still will pick Shang Tsung every match because I just love mixing it up and keeping my opponent guessing. They never know what's coming next. And I guess later on,
keeping your opponent on their toes.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Got to mix it up. As soon as they learn my style and my pattern with one character, switch to somebody else. Keep them guessing. And then there's Scorpion and Shang Tsung, like, for two different reasons. And I guess up until MK Deception, when they rolled out Conquest mode, I loved that mode so much that I really enjoyed playing as Shujinko. In fact, that's kind of what inspired me to make the Shujinko game with my partner, Jimbo Limbo. He was my creative partner on that, and he did a lot of the grunt work and all the programming, all the front-end stuff. Even though I did a lot of the design ideas and I sent it to him, he did all the actual work on that. So he should really get all the credit. Well, most of the credit. But I love Shujinko so much that the idea that this guy can somehow be friends with both Scorpion and Sub-Zero and like Hotaru and Havoc, and they both want to kill each other, but somehow they're both okay with him. It's one of the damnedest things. So I think I really took a shine to Shujinko just because of how great Conquest Mode was in that game.
Yeah, the lesser of multiple evils.
Right.
Yeah. And in regards to when I first played a Mortal Kombat game, I think it was back when I went on vacation to Montreal. There was this one theme park, and they had this one dome that was themed to look like like Bowser's Castle.
Really?
And inside there, they had like arcade games galore. Like they had Street Fighter, they had Mortal Kombat, they had all these different games. And I first played Mortal Kombat playing the arcade version back when I was a kid.
So what was your first Mortal Kombat game? Was it the first one?
Yes.
Do you have any pictures of that arcade that was shaped to look like Bowser's Castle?
I don't think we have those pictures anymore.
Oh, the one in Montreal. Maybe ask somebody else who was there with you. They might have them. You might be surprised what people manage to hang on to. If you can find that and dig and unearth those, that would be epic.
Yeah, and they had that going they later on had like Nintendo themed area, like it was Nintendo themed completely. Like they would do like GameCube tournaments and stuff like that for it.
Really cool. Really cool. Dude, you're reminding me of another MK memory that I had. Before I lived in Florida, I used to live up north, but we actually took a field trip down to Florida when I was in the 6th grade, and we went to Disney World. They had a Mortal Kombat arcade cabinet there, but it was like one of those hacks. It was like modded. Sub-Zero had electricity coming out of him, like Raiden, the Raiden electricity. Sub-Zero had that. And Reptile came down and he said something dumb like, "Watch it, I will fool you." And I just thought this was the most insane thing. It was like crazy. And if I told anybody about it, it would sound insane, except I went online and I found pictures, and that hack is a thing. And there are other screenshots that other people have of the exact same ROM hack. So, yeah, you just reminded me of that when you were talking about the place you visited in Montreal.
Yeah, I was like 6 or 7 years old when I first played it.
I was a bit older than that, but yeah, way back in the day now.
Yeah, when I told John Vogel that I was 6 years old when I was first introduced to Mortal Kombat, he was like, "Whoa, that's too young."
Yeah, because he's got a daughter now. He's got Luna, and there is no way he's gonna let her play something that's inappropriate. I guess that would be Five Nights at Freddy's, and I guess he does let her play it. So you know what? I take back what I just said. John Vogel, I'm going to go on the record and say John Vogel is just as bad a parent as your parents are.
I was first introduced to my first horror movie when I was 4 years old.
Oh, yeah? Well,
that movie on Blu-ray here.
All right, let me see this. Pet Cemetery. Yes, I will say that I do not approve of the bad spelling. I guess Mortal Kombat's got the same problem, though, so I can't really say anything.
Yeah. Okay. Question number 3. What is your favorite fatality?
My favorite fatality. God, there's so many good ones. I like Liu Kang's arcade drop because even though it makes no sense, it's like pretty meta. But now in MK11 with Johnny Cage, he's got this one where, his classic triple heads fatality is now turned into this whole production where he's like, cut! And he has to like knock the heads off a bunch of times. Again, very meta. I really like that stuff. It's very self-referential. Those kinds of fatalities really appeal to me. As long as they don't do it too much and too often. They do it like very sparingly, which is what I think really makes it work.
Yeah. Like, who hired this guy? What the? Yeah, and then and he gives the cameraman the bird.
Yeah, all that stuff. You're right. There's so much that goes into it.
Yeah.
I mean, look, some people view it as a callback to the movie, where it's like, where do you get these guys? It's so referential and so many different parts of it. There's so many aspects to it. I love it. I love the whole clapboard, the whole fact that he's like talking to a movie crew. Like none of this is actually real anymore. It's
Yeah. Let's see here. What is your least favorite Mortal Kombat fatality? Ooh. I didn't mean to add the word Mortal Kombat, but
well, yeah. I'm gonna start picking a Primal Rage fatality or a Killer Instinct fatality now. You left the door wide open for that one, buddy.
Yeah.
I guess if I had to pick a least favorite, everybody always says Quan Chi's neck stretch. You know, that's always like everyone's least favorite from MK Deadly Alliance, but I don't know. Actually, a lot of the gore in Deadly Alliance was kind of bad. They call it like bloody popcorn just because it has that appearance, it has that texture.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the stuff, I guess, a lot of the fatalities in Deadly Alliance they were cool, but then the gore for it kind of ruined it. So I know that's not an exact specific answer, but I just didn't like the bloody popcorn that plagued a lot of the fatalities in that game, which were otherwise very well done.
Mm. And I also remembered they took Kano's Mortal Kombat 3 fatality and gave it to Sub-Zero.
Yeah, they do switch around. They did the old switcheroo after a few games. You know, like when they took Sub-Zero's spine rip, but then in MK9 story mode, Scorpion does the spine rip to Sub-Zero instead. There's little things like that happen, or they trade moves. And I know people hate that trading off like that. They want Sonya's moves to be Sonya's, and they want Kano's moves to be Kano's. And sometimes a character like Jarek comes along with, like, why is he doing eye lasers? That's Kano's thing. What is this?
And the grip is also Kano's.
Right. So stuff like that, I guess, is also kind of like a least favorite fatality. And it's not because it's a bad fatality. It's just because of who's the one doing it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the fatality being given to the wrong person, the gore looking a little off, those kinds of things can ruin an otherwise good fatality that could have worked well if done right.
Yeah. Let's see here. What is your favorite Mortal Kombat game?
God, they're all so good. I mean, there's parts of every game that I really like. Like, I could really dig into MK1 and MK2 and MK3. I guess my favorite of all time... Are you going to ask me what my least favorite game is after this?
No.
Oh, okay.
We all know what your least favorite is.
We do?
Yeah. We don't talk about it, though.
It's a very special one, though.
Yeah, I'm going to say it.
Oh, wait. I don't want to force it out of you, but if you want to, go ahead.
Special Forces.
Oh, we went there. Yeah, MK Advance is also not so good.
We took the dive.
Yeah, MK Advance also is right down there with it. But as far as my favorite one goes, I really love the classic MK2. I really love MK Deception, especially the Conquest mode part of it. I really love parts of MK11 as well. It's like I could just sit there and watch the story mode in some of the newer games all day long. Like, it's just fun to sit down and watch them. I don't know, man. I'm having trouble picking a favorite. But let's put those three tied for first. How about that?
Okay. Yeah, just for the new ones, you can just pull out a bag of popcorn and start watching the cinematic.
Yeah, it's true. It's a lot of fun to watch, and if you know all the lore, and if you know all the lore from the previous games, sometimes there are parts that will drive you nuts because you know when they get it wrong. That's what happens if you're a lore master and you pay attention to that stuff. It drives you crazy sometimes, but despite the imperfections, such a blast to watch.
Yeah, and also not to mention the trivia champion would also know that stuff too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I got to give you props for being the trivia champion. You're always the first one to type those answers out too. Like, even when everybody else knows it, you're always getting in there first.
Yeah.
Do you really do that from an iPad?
Yeah.
You're not using the touchscreen keyboard though. You're using like a physical keyboard connected to it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That makes sense because those touchscreens will drive you crazy if you're in a contest to see who can type something the fastest.
Yeah. But sometimes I actually use,
I'm old school. I need an IBM XT keyboard.
yeah. That's similar to what they used in Jurassic Park, if I'm not mistaken.
Hey, wait a minute. Can you hang on 1 second?
Sure.
All right, let me see. Maybe I don't have to get up for this. Okay, I'm back. I just wanted to take some time and show you what I think is an absolutely amazing keyboard. Look at that. Look at that beauty. That is by Hyperkin. That is a keyboard that will definitely make the clickety-clack sounds. See? And it's colored like the old school Super Nintendo system. So how about that? This is very hard to get nowadays, but I managed to get one before it got too hard.
Yeah. Probably can find it on Amazon or eBay.
Maybe.
Wait for Black Friday and get it for cheap.
Maybe if they're still making them. But I love Hyperkin products. They make all the cool stuff, all the cool retro products. Like in my videos, you'll see anytime I play like a Nintendo, Super Nintendo, or Sega Genesis game, I'm always playing it on my Retron 3. I've also got the Retron 5, which is great because it supports more consoles. And they make other systems that I have. Like I've got one of their Game Boy adapters, lets you play Game Boy cartridges on a smartphone. With like physical buttons and stuff like that. It's great. I'm a big fan of the retro game scene, and I love Hyperkin for what they're doing too.
Yeah, like that one prototype, like Game Boy, like player for the Nintendo 64.
Okay, yes, I do have one of those. That's not by Hyperkin. That's by another company, and that was actually it's not like a prototype. That was actually something that was designed for developers. So when they went to trade shows, right, and they wanted to show off their Game Boy Color games or Game Boy Advance games on a TV, they would actually play on a Game Boy player, on an N64 console hooked up to a TV so that they could have, everybody could sit back and watch the game and be like, ooh, ah. So ever since I went to my first E3 back in 2002, I saw those in use, actually, and I always wanted one, and I got lucky and managed to get one. So if you go back and watch some of my videos, anytime I use Game Boy Advance, I am actually playing it on one of those ultra rare adapters for the N64. And like my Shang Tsung and Quan Chi one, for example, if you look, what's it called? Secret Origins, right? If you look up the Secret Origins for Shang Tsung and Quan Chi on my YouTube channel, if you pay careful attention, you'll see that Nintendo 64 Game Boy Advance adapter in use.
Okay, next question would be, what is your favorite animality?
Oh, wait a minute. Hang on a second. I may have something cool to show you.
Could it be Striker's MK3 animality?
Sorry, my headphones were out. Can you repeat the question?
I said, could it possibly be Striker, like the model that was used for Striker's MK3 animality?
Oh, you thought I was getting the T-Rex. I see where you're going with this. Actually, I wanted to show off this bad boy. Look at this polar bear.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, how close does this look to the MK3 polar bear animality?
Pretty close. Let me guess. You got that from Justin McCollum.
You're right. You're right. The same guy that designed that Shinnok's amulet that's behind you.
Yep.
So I don't know if these are for sale, but I actually met up with him at this past convention. I actually met up with him at Free Play Florida just a couple of days ago, and he gave this to me as an early birthday present. Since my birthday, is tomorrow, he gave me this, and I just thought this was the coolest thing. And hopefully he'll have them for sale soon. So I guess I should plug his store, Another Dimension 3D. If you look at Etsy.com/ oh god, is it shop or is it /store? If you look up Another Dimension 3D on Etsy.com, You can buy all kinds of cool stuff. He makes many other amulets and other cool trinkets from the Mortal Kombat games with his 3D printing studio. Awesome stuff. Super nice guy, too, in real life. So check that out.
And I actually helped him find the Dragon Medallion from, like, the 3D era.
Oh, yeah? You're talking about the
Sub-Zero.
Sub-Zero. Yes, the Dragon Medallion that the Lin Kuei champion, Grandmaster, gets the right to carry around.
Yeah, Sector's father.
That's right. Yes, Sub-Zero and Sector themselves fought over it, and Sub-Zero won.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
In regards to Mortal Kombat 1 to Mortal Kombat 4, which version do you prefer most? Arcade or home console?
I would say the arcade for sure, but when they made up some of the fatalities, like the censored versions for the home systems, I have to say that they did a really awesome job with Raiden's MK1 fatality on the Super Nintendo, where he turns his foes into a pile of dust. Like that fatality, that even though they had to censor it and not knock the guy's head off and not turn it into a pool of blood. So even though they censored that, it was so iconic. I think it was actually better than the arcade in that respect. So much so that it actually made its way into the song. If you listen to the Raiden song on the official Mortal Kombat soundtrack CD, the singer specifically references how Raiden turns his foes to a pile of dust. I think you're pulling out your CD right now, aren't you?
Yep.
Yep. Yes, Mortal Kombat the album. There we go. And the name of the song? Eternal Life.
Yep, which is actually track number... what is it here?
Near the end. I want to say like 8, maybe.
Yep, track 8.
Yeah, there we go.
And I even have the rare single.
Oh, yeah, I have that one too. In fact, that was the first CD I ever bought. When I bought that, we didn't even own a CD player in our house. We played cassettes. And I figured, you know what? I know we only can play cassette tapes right now, but I have a feeling we're going to buy a CD player one of these days. So I better just grab it now while I still can. I got the last one in the store.
Yeah, I actually have one movie soundtrack on cassette.
Yeah.
And I also have it on CD too.
Yeah. I have a couple of them on cassette. Like if I see the cassette and the CD, we're collectors. We'll probably get them both. We'll get both versions because why not?
Yeah. Like I have this version, like the CD version.
Yep.
And I have it on audio cassette. And if you want to get the audio cassette for the Lost World Jurassic Park, you have to go to Thailand to get it.
Yes. And what's crazy is now you'd probably never listen to it on cassette or on CD. You'd probably end up listening to it digitally, right?
Well, I put it onto my laptop, and then I put it.
You ripped it. You ripped it to your laptop. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then once you ripped it to your laptop, what do? You copy and paste it onto your iPod, and then later on onto your cell phone, right? So you just listen to it with you on the go. Yeah. That's what we do. If you're not listening to it already through an app like Spotify or Pandora, it's crazy how technology changes.
Yeah, I just recently got movie soundtracks. I think a couple weeks ago. Yeah, a couple weeks. The Indiana Jones soundtracks for Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom, and Last Crusade.
On what format?
CD.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's nice to have.
They're not the original release. They are the 2008 re-release, which actually has like additional music put in that weren't in the original releases.
Okay, cool. You know what? My brother's a huge Indiana Jones fan, so maybe I should pick up something like that for him for Christmas. That's a good idea.
Yeah, I bought them all new, and it cost me a pretty penny.
Oh.
$40 for the 3 of them.
That's not so bad. That's a little under $15 a piece. That's not too bad.
Yeah, but the soundtracks for the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, those are like over $100 a piece.
Yeah, the most expensive CD I ever encountered in my collection is the soundtrack for Mortal Kombat Conquest. Didn't even know that was a thing that they ever released CDs for, but apparently they're very rare. They're like promotional use only kind of a thing. I managed to scoop those up, so I'm extremely fortunate to have those.
Yeah, like they also did for for the Crow's Stairway to Heaven, they had like limited release soundtracks, but only for like the cast and crew.
Yeah, yeah. Well, if you're lucky enough to get something like that, if it's something that you're into, and you have the opportunity and you have the means to do it, then by all means, go ahead.
Yeah. And I found Jonathan Sloat's Instagram. He actually has two of them.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I ought to start following them. And if you guys don't already follow me on Instagram, you can search me up, Tabmok99. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. I'm on YouTube. That's kind of the main thing. That's where I have the biggest following is on my YouTube. Yeah. But yeah, Twitter, Instagram, and maybe something else. Oh yeah, MySpace. If anybody still has a MySpace, look me up. I dare you.
I don't remember my MySpace password, but
yeah. And we'll just reset your password, man. Just hit the forgot password link. You'll be fine.
Well, the thing is, the password, like the account for it was actually for an old account,
an old email address that you don't have access to anymore.
Yeah.
Just what you do is you talk to Tom from MySpace. You can reach him through his Facebook, so he'll hook you up, man.
Yeah, and you won't believe what email address I used for my MySpace.
Is it an email address that ends in @thethreshold.com?
No.
Because I used to have one of those. You remember when the Threshold.com was a thing? Threshold Entertainment was giving away free email addresses. It's like, oh yeah, I better scoop one of those up while I still can.
No, it was an AOL one, but my email was Mortal Kombat 2286.
Oh man, America Online. Welcome. You got mail.
Well, want to hear something really funny?
Yeah.
I actually took the You Got Mail and have you ever heard of the movie called Euro Trip?
Yes. Scotty doesn't know that one though.
Yeah, and for the sound for that, like the email alert sound for that, I actually edited that, and so I made it go instead of "You've got mail," it says "You've got mail, motherfucker."
Oh, good idea. Good idea. Well, hey, if you've seen Scott Pilgrim versus the World, you'll know that You Got Mail plays a role in that as well. Mm-hmm. Are you getting the Blu-ray of that right now as we're talking?
You mentioned it.
I knew it. I knew it.
Which also has Chris Evans.
Yeah, it's true. He's one of the 7 evil X's.
In fact, he's right there.
Mm-hmm. So we've seen Chris Evans twice now on this stream.
Mm-hmm. I think we're in the right place. Yeah. Right before the secret window.
Okay. Oh, all right. I get it. You alphabetize them, don't you?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, like right here, I'm gonna have like, I'm gonna have like Angel Heart starring Robert De Niro, and then I'm gonna have like a documentary type film on Apollo 11.
Sweet.
And over here, I'm gonna have like the Chud movies. And then I'm gonna have, like,
how many?
There are 2 Chud movies.
So I guess you need to go for both of them.
Yep, I'm getting both of them. And I'm also getting Sphere. And some others. I hope to get the full series of Farscape on Blu-ray for Christmas.
Well, if you've made Santa's nice list, I'm sure you will.
And last Christmas, I actually got the complete 1960s TV series of Batman.
Oh, yes. Yes, that's awesome.
And I have the complete animated series right here.
I was fortunate enough to meet Adam West back when he was still around.
So have I.
Oh, okay. When did you meet him?
1992.
Oh, okay. Well, I met him like way later. I met him like E3, I want to say 04, maybe 05. It was whatever year the Family Guy video game came out. because he played the voice of Mayor West in that game.
Yep. And when I met him, it was actually on my birthday.
Oh, okay, awesome.
And I told
Very
him that
cool.
my birthday, and he actually had the Batmobile with him.
Yeah.
And he actually took me for a ride in the Batmobile.
What? You got to ride in the Batmobile?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you lucky son of a dog. Well, okay. Good for you, man. That's awesome.
And afterwards, as an added bonus, he actually had my picture taken with him and had that developed and mailed to me.
Pretty cool. Do you still have it?
My birth mother has it somewhere, and it was also autographed by Adam too.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, you got to find that one of these days. Next time you're hanging out with her, maybe you can get a copy of it and scan it in, with a high quality scanner and post it up on social media. That would be great. Maybe by next International Batman Day, you could do that.
Yeah, but it's in storage, so and she's got to find the keys to her storage.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a thing. It's a quite an ordeal, but hopefully you can do it.
Yeah, she even has a few baby pictures of me, like one of me sleeping, and it looks like I'm actually praying.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. Okay. Now back to the questions.
Yes.
Which Mortal Kombat comic series do you like more, the Malibu comics or the DC comics?
Well, I guess I grew up on the Malibu comics, and I know that they've got their problems, but they're amazing. I also know that the MKX comics are also amazing. And in the MKX comics, you can have a little bit more gore. The MKX comics were designed to fit with the games a little bit better than the Malibu comics were. The Malibu comics were kind of like alternate universe almost.
Yeah.
It's hard to say, man, because I really was digging some of the new characters that the Malibu comics threw in there. I loved Sing and Sang, the twin fighting monks who had merged to become Siang. I love stuff like that. But on the other hand, I really do love those MKX comics. I love the references. I love the whole stuff that they added in with the blood code. I love seeing the progression of Johnny and Selenia and kind of Cassie growing up. Sort of the stuff that was not shown for MKX story mode, and it kind of helps bridge the gap between MK9 and MKX. Yeah, they're really both great series. In fact, if you're a fan of comics, and especially if you're a fan of Mortal Kombat, if you've read one but not the other, go give the other one a try. I don't care which one it is. If you've read MKX but not Malibu, or if you've read Malibu but not MKX, whatever it is, stop what you're doing, buy the complete series of the other one that you haven't read yet, and just dig in.
Yeah, and I remember in I think it was and I remember in the old Malibu comics when I would read them digitally. Instead of having a roped kunai, Scorpion would have a mace head instead, attached.
Yeah, it was like a ball and chain. That was a little inconsistent. That would change. Yes, that would change from issue to issue.
Mm-hmm. Probably because of the comic the comic book code at the time.
I don't know what you're talking about.
And I think that actually inspired one of the weapons that you see in Kill Bill Volume 1.
It might have. It also reminded me of Super Mario World when it was in some of the castles. They have a spiked ball and chain that goes around in circles, and you just have to time yourself when you're running through them.
Yeah. I think it was Super Mario World.
Yeah, that's right. Super Mario World, exactly.
Yeah, that was the first Super Nintendo game I ever played.
I think that was probably the first Super Nintendo game most of us played, because it came packaged in with the system.
Yeah. Okay. What got you interested in Mortal Kombat?
I guess I was hooked from day one. You know, the first day that I played it at my friend's house on their Sega Genesis when it was a rental, I was immediately hooked. I think it was the graphics at first because it looked just visually superior to any other game that was ever out there. Like, people might not realize this, but when Mortal Kombat came out, it had the best graphics of all time. No other game to date had been able to compete with that. Like, that immediately, when you, it's the first thing you notice when you look at a game. What draws you to a game is how does it look? And it was incredible. And, you know, the blood was like cool and like a little mean-spirited, like a little down and rough and aggressive in a way that most other games hadn't been. It wasn't like cartoony graphics, like where you jump on a Guma and it gets squished and then disappears.
Yeah.
It wasn't like where you beat up the bad guys till they fall on the ground and they just kind of fade out. It wasn't like Pac-Man where he just kind of shrivels up. It was like, no, we beat these guys up and then we rip their heads off and then their body just kind of lays there until it fades to black. Like, it was for real. It took the gaming experience to another level. And then, of course, then there's the story, right? Like, you just watch the attract mode and you see all these bios for the characters. In fact, I think I did things backwards. I figured out what their stories were by looking at their endings. And then once I figured out how cool some of the endings were, I went and watched all the bios and as it goes by in the attract mode. And it was just an incredible thing where these characters were so well thought out. They were so well developed. Even more so now, I think, in the modern games. But at the time, it was almost revolutionary where there's almost nothing to compare it to. Like, their stories were compelling. You could relate to them. They were like archetypes that they had filled. It was the perfect storm, you know, of the graphics, the violence, and the story, not to mention the secrets and the rumors and the mystery surrounding the game. All these things just combined to make it an overwhelming phenomenon that took the gaming world by storm.
And that they would actually later on take the rumors and actually make them real.
Oh, God, when they started doing that, it was mind-blowing.
Yeah, like, there's this, like, red palette swap of Scorpion called
Ermac.
Ermac.
Yeah, yeah. Or
They
Sub-Zero can turn into a polar bear. He can really do it. I saw it. I swear. Yeah, all this stuff. I mean, the game actually felt for the first time like an ongoing dialogue between the developers and the fans.
Mm-hmm.
In a way that I don't think had ever been done before, and, you know, almost can't nowadays for legal reasons. But back then, it was just the right time. It was just the right place. It just worked. It was just this cool thing where the developers would do stuff, and it's like, hey, they know what we want. They're listening to us. They're giving us exactly what we asked for. How do they know? I can't believe that they're aware of it. Like, I knew it in my area growing up. I can't believe the word got back to them, and they did it for us. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a really cool thing. It was no small feat. Like, when they would take rumors and turn them into reality, it was just incredible for everybody.
Yeah. Would you ever be interested in seeing either Mortal Kombat versus Killer Instinct crossover, or Mortal Kombat versus Street Fighter crossover, or both?
You know, a lot of people complain about the crossovers. A lot of people feel that Mortal Kombat should just be its own self-contained thing and not be connected with anybody else. I get that. I kind of think that an actual crossover game is preferable to having a regular Mortal Kombat title with guests thrown in. So rather than see like Joker and Spawn and Terminator and stuff like that, which, you know, I guess is kind of fun, an actual time to sit down and set aside and say, okay, we're going to take a break from the main Mortal Kombat series and just do a crossover just for fun. I actually really like that idea. And I think a Killer Instinct could be good, and I think a Street Fighter could be good, especially now that Street Fighter is sort of following in Mortal Kombat footsteps by doing a story mode. I think that kind of sets the tone that maybe a Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat crossover could work. I know some information just came out recently about how Capcom had a chance to do it and they opted not to. But that's not necessarily a permanent decision. Like, there's still a sliver of hope that one day something like that could happen. And if it ever does, people are going to go back and watch this interview and be like, hey, guess what? It happened. I just know it. So seriously, like, if you guys are in the comments and if this has happened by now, go ahead and tell me as if I didn't know. It's great. I love it when this happens.
Yeah, and let's just hope it's better than that. Like that one crossover that Mortal Kombat tried to do.
Yeah, which one do you mean?
Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe.
Yeah, that was a thing that happened. There have been other crossovers, like Namco did a crossover with Capcom. There's like I don't remember if it's Namco cross Capcom or
Street Fighter X Tekken, I think it was.
Yeah, there might even be more than one. And it was like an RPG, so they took the fighting game characters and put them in RPG. I actually got a chance to play a little bit of it. English translation, because it was a Japanese-only release. And I gotta say, it was pretty fun. I never did get a chance to complete it. I never did get a chance to finish it. But it was a cool idea, because they take characters that we know, that we're familiar with, and then they try and build a whole story out of it. Look, people like games like Kingdom Hearts. It's like they take all these Disney movies and make one huge crossover connecting them all. People love that stuff. I know that.
With Final Fantasy.
Right. I know people like to complain about gas and complain about crossovers, but these things are huge sellers at the same time. Like, it's millions of dollars. Obviously, somebody likes it. People don't think about it like this, but it's actually a huge compliment. The fact that Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe happened is a huge compliment to the Mortal Kombat franchise. It's saying that Superman, that's been around for it was like 60 plus years at the time, and Batman has been around for 60 plus years. It's saying that Mortal Kombat, a relative newcomer that hadn't even been around for 20 years, is considered successful enough to coexist with those long, well-established franchises that had been around way before any of us were born.
Yeah, with those titans, like of the comic book, like Titans of comic books.
Yes. Okay, sorry. I thought you were talking about the Teen Titans for a minute.
No.
And then I thought you were talking about the Titans, from Chrono Trigger's race.
Yeah.
Yeah, took me a minute to think about it. Oh, yeah. These are huge names in comics. Like, those are the biggest sellers. They turn them into huge selling movies. The fact that they took a chance on a Mortal Kombat crossover is a huge honor and a huge compliment. I really don't think that Midway or Ed Boon or anybody would have been in a position to say no. I think they almost had to jump at the chance to do it when they were approached. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like that saying goes, if the opportunity presents itself, go for it.
Right.
Or if the world gives you lemons, make lemonade.
Well, that is equally true.
And speaking about Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe, I actually bought the used copy of it, the original version, like the bare bones version,
Yep.
No special edition or limited edition version of it.
Yep.
And I went on this one auction site, and I actually came across this one part that was actually part of the limited edition release.
Did you get the comic?
No, I didn't get the comic.
Okay.
I actually got the canvas art.
The one by Alex Ross.
Yes.
Yeah, he's great. Dude, he is a legend. I've always been such a fan of his stuff ever since I first became aware of Kingdom Come. I just thought it was so amazing that every single panel in a comic is this high quality painting. It's incredible to me. The fact that they tapped Alex Ross to do that, dream come true. Yeah, that's it. Hey, by the way, have you seen the fan-made remake of that takes the Alex Ross art that you just held up there, and it recreates it in the style of Mortal Kombat Defenders of the Realm on one side and the Batman and Superman animated series on the other? Have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
Oh, okay. Well, you should have.
Yeah, I have over 200 video games.
Yeah, no, I'll find that artwork later and I'll tag you in it. It's incredible. It really is.
Yeah, the recent games that I got are like Lego Lord of the Rings, Lego Batman 2, DC Superheroes. Lego Star Wars: The Complete Saga, Lego Star Wars 3: The Clone Wars, Lego Pirates of the Caribbean. Let's see here, Lego Indiana Jones.
I would love for them to do a Lego Mortal Kombat one day. I know some fans have done some crossovers between Lego and MK. I think whenever I watch those Lego movies or those the video games, whenever I play through those or see a playthrough of them, they're always so funny. They're absolutely hysterical. The writing team does such a great job on the Lego features. I would absolutely love to see a Mortal Kombat version of that. I would love to see a parody where they, talk about some of the fan complaints and then put them in the universe, that meta stuff. There was a Lego Star Wars thing they did where somebody in the movie was like, I can't believe it. Han shot first. And he's like, well, of course I did. It was either me or them. What kind of idiot would I have to be not to shoot first?
Yeah,
you probably know what I'm talking about. You've probably seen that.
Yeah. And I also got Tiger Woods PGA Tour 2011. I also got Call of Duty Ghosts, Call of Duty Black Ops.
Now I thought Call of Duty Ghosts was going to be a crossover with the ghosts from Pac-Man, but it wasn't. So I was a little bit let down by that.
Well, if you know a thing or two about the military, or also Ghost Recon.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't forget.
The only thing I know about the military is the U.S. Special Forces, and of course the Outer World Investigation Agency, defending Earthrealm at all costs.
Yeah. And I also got The Walking Dead Survival Instinct.
A lot of games.
Yeah. And I only paid like $5 a piece for them.
Well, you lucked out.
Yeah. And I got them from my friend Kevin's mother.
Cool.
Yeah. And I was like, wow, that's pretty cool that I was actually able to find out that one of my best friend's mothers sold me some games.
Yeah, as soon as Kevin finds out about that, he's going to be pissed.
No, actually, she told him.
Oh, okay.
He's like, oh, that's cool. I know him. I actually went to school with him. I graduated from high school with him.
Awesome. So maybe you got the friends and family discount.
Actually, she was selling it on Facebook Marketplace for anyone who wanted them. Like, she had, like, Minecraft and some other games, like Metro Last Light. And I figured that I would get, like, some games like Lego games because who doesn't like a good Lego game?
No, my nephew loves that. He's playing Lego Jurassic Park lately. He's absolutely enthralled with it. He's a big dinosaur fan, and Lego Jurassic Park is like the perfect game for him. Even my brother was surprised. He was playing it. He's like, hey, they're doing all the scenes from the movie. Now his kid knows about the Jurassic Park movie through the lens of the Lego video game. It's amazing.
Yeah, and also I actually have that game for the Xbox One and Lego Jurassic World, and I also have Lego The Hobbit.
Do you have Lego Dimensions?
No, I don't.
Okay, if you get Lego Dimensions, you have to be careful because people want to collect all the characters. You have to buy like a little toy and you have to put it on the stand and then it loads the game up. And all right, so the thing about that game is if you're one of these people that has to be a collector and has to have every little thing, it's going to cost you way too much money. So you kind of have to go into it saying, okay, I'm going to be careful. I'm only going to get the characters that I really need. I'm going to limit myself to like 5 or 10 or whatever. But there is a piece for it that's like shaped like an arcade machine, and you can play classic Midway arcade titles in the Lego Dimensions. And in fact, you have to, in order to proceed to get that past that part of the game, you have to play through it's like the little mini games, you have to play these old games and achieve certain challenges in them. So it's kind of cool the way they're using Lego to kind of not just let like the older players relive the classics, but they've actually figured out a way to do it to where they're introducing a new generation to the classics.
Yeah, like say Pac-Man or Joust or
Yeah, I know Joust is in there. I know Joust is one of the ones in there for sure.
Yeah, I actually have the 3 volumes of the Midway Arcade Treasures.
Oh, okay. Okay, we were talking about music before. We were talking about music on like cassette tapes and CD and all the new ways to listen to music. And somehow vinyl's making a comeback. I never thought that would happen, but you know, they re-released the MK1, MK2 soundtrack on vinyl. I hear rumors that there's going to be an MK3, MK4 vinyl release next. Who knows? You know, but you hear whispers sometimes. It would be cool. It'd be cool. I can't believe it. In fact, I do happen to have a record player, but it's one of those all-in-one things. You know, it plays like the radio, plays CD, plays tapes. It makes it easy for me to convert other formats to digital. And when they released the MK1 and MK2 record, it's like, okay, well, I have a record player, so why not?
Yeah, and it actually sounds just as clear and, or if not better, than the CD versions.
Well, you know, I can also hear it straight through the arcade version as well. So there's that.
Yeah. And Mortal Kombat 2 was the first game to use the DCS sound system.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, if you have the original MK1, MK2 soundtrack CD, it came with a little insert that explains the DCS system like all the way through. It's pretty interesting stuff if you're into that technical.
Yeah, on one side it talks about the DCS sound system, and then on the other it talks about Dan Forden.
Yeah, okay, so you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Well, I actually saw the pictures of it, like when I went to go to downloads.khinsider.com.
Awesome.
You can download any type of video game music you want. Like they have all the Mortal Kombat, most of the Mortal Kombat games and stuff like that.
Cool.
Yeah,
it's fun to listen to the soundtrack. Like sometimes even the obscure titles like MK Mythologies, Sub-Zero, like, hey, that had a kicking soundtrack, especially the prison stage because they reused the music again for MK4 for that level. So it's like epic to play through some of it.
Yeah, and some of those, and if you listen to some of the old Mortal Kombat games, I think it was like The Streets, is like a revamped version of The Courtyard.
It's true. Yeah, it's true. You can hear the notes. You can recognize the melody for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you played as much Mortal Kombat back in the day as I did, then those songs, they get stuck with you forever.
Yeah. Especially when you like those character select screens.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or especially like the Courtyard, just because it was like the first level. Every time you started a new game, it would always start you out at the Courtyard. So it's kind of like iconic that way.
Yeah. And some people say that the music for The Pit is also iconic.
Oh yeah, especially the Sega Genesis version. I don't know why. Somehow the Sega Genesis Pit like really stands out.
Yeah. And I remember my first Mortal Kombat game that I actually owned.
Oh yeah, what was it?
God help me, it was the Game Boy port for Mortal Kombat 3.
Well, that's not really a good place to start.
Yeah, and well, because I was actually grounded from Mortal Kombat for a few years because I would reenact certain moves from the games while I was practicing when I was supposed to be practicing for baseball.
Yeah, I remember when you told me that.
Yeah. And one time I wasn't paying attention and I looked up and a pop fly came and hit me right on the lower lip and I had to get like a few stitches.
Yep. Yep.
And that's exactly where the scar is too.
Oh.
Like right here.
Well, I don't know if you can really see it on the camera, but yeah, I know what you mean. It's one of those things where I guess you wish you hadn't been practicing Mortal Kombat and been paying attention to the baseball game instead. And
since then, I was actually grounded from that.
For how long?
Let's see here. From 1993 to 1995.
Yeah, that's a long time for a punishment, dude. That's a really long time. But I guess in 1995, the movie came out. So were you allowed to watch the movie finally when it came out?
As a matter of fact, my father said, like during the summer, he said, Brian, we're going to the movies. We're gonna be meeting up with a friend of mine from work and his son, and we're gonna go see a movie. And I said, what movie? And he said, it's a surprise. And we went in. Like, he didn't let me see the ticket stubs or anything like that. And when we went to go sit down, when I first heard that shout, Mortal Kombat, my eyes were lit up, and I was smiling from ear to ear.
Oh, wow. Perfect movie reference right there. So when he
Yeah.
told you it was a surprise, did you have any hint in your mind that it might be Mortal Kombat? Were you even entertaining the thought?
I was like, what movie's out now that would possibly interest me? And before I went to go see the movie, I was actually staying with a babysitter for a while, and her son actually rented Mortal Kombat: The Journey Begins, and I couldn't watch that because I was grounded from Mortal Kombat, so I had to go sit in another room and play. But I
Oh,
actually
man.
heard noises in the background,
Okay.
and I was like, "Wow, there's a Mortal Kombat video playing. Oh man, I wish I could watch it."
Yep.
And
But eventually you did.
yeah, I now have it on with the Blu-ray version.
Right.
And I actually later on decided, actually when I was a kid, back when I was in grounded from Mortal Kombat, I actually had this huge drawing pad that my father made for me from his job, and one of my friends actually drew a Mortal Kombat themed like drawing, like seeing like the fighters in different areas and stuff like that.
Yep.
Like he drew Scorpion versus Sub-Zero, Kano versus Sonya.
Were you allowed to keep that drawing, or was that removed because you were grounded from it?
They didn't even know.
Yeah, well, what they don't know won't hurt them.
Yeah. And and it was drawn by the same person that actually first told me about Mortal Kombat. He said, "Dude, there's this new game out. Oh man, it is so awesome. It's called Mortal Kombat, and one of the characters is named Scorpion. He's a ninja, and he has a special move, and he impales you with a rope dart, and he actually says, 'Get over here.' Sometimes, 'Come here.' And that's like, oh, dude, I want to try that." And we would actually act like the kids did in Mortal Kombat Deception's Conquest mode, like acting as if we were the fighters and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, that opening sequence where they're pretending to be the great Kung Lao and Goro and Shang Tsung and stuff. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. And they said, yeah, and that was one of the best times of my life, like doing stuff like that. And I was like, and then later on, found out that I was grounded from it, and but yet I wasn't grounded from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. But I think I was mainly grounded because it was the most violent thing that can be shown.
Yeah, it's true.
Like because Teenage Mutant
Well, you could have been grounded from horror movies, you know.
Mm-hmm. And yet I wasn't. And I remember the first movie that I saw in theaters, and that would be Batman Returns.
Okay. Okay, I remember the first movie I saw in theaters, and it's actually a band now from Disney Plus, so you might know what I'm talking about.
Black Cauldron?
No?
What?
Song of the South.
Oh. That is a classic movie right there. And what people don't understand is that's how people behaved at that time period, and it's nothing to do with it being racist or anything like that.
Well, I don't know. It's a long time. It's been a long time since I've seen it, so I couldn't tell you one way or the other. It was the first movie that I saw when I was 4. You know, it was a different time back then. But it was the first movie I saw, and I do remember looking up to the main character and thinking that he was like kind of heroic, like he was like a really cool guy.
Brer
So
Rabbit or Uncle Rufus?
Uncle Rufus. I mean, I remember the song Zippity Doo Dah. I remember he had like a cartoon bluebird on his shoulder. I just thought that he was like the coolest guy. He was like the coolest uncle that everybody could know. So to me, the effect that it had on race relations, it was a very positive one. Maybe if I looked at it now as an adult, I wouldn't see it the same way. I don't know. I couldn't tell you for sure. But I know these issues can be thorny. It can be a little complex. But I did like that movie at the time, and it's not on Disney Plus now. So I guess they don't want to expose new kids to whatever negative messages there may or may not be in that movie.
Yeah, but there have been worse Disney movies out there. I mean, look at Something Wicked This Way Comes.
Is that bad?
Oh yeah, like there's one scene where a kid falls over and is decapitated by a guillotine, and you actually see the kid's severed head.
Yeah, that sounds pretty bad.
Everything.
That sounds pretty. Is that now? Is that on Disney Plus?
No.
Oh.
And there's two versions. Like there's the there's like a director's version, like a uncensored version, and there's a theatrical version.
Okay. So the theatrical version didn't have that scene, right?
Right.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
And also another movie that people would probably see as racist is Gone with the Wind.
Well, why is that?
Because of all the language used in it. Like them dropping the N-word and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, they shouldn't do that.
It's Civil War era. That's how people talked back then. Just like,
there is
post-Civil War.
There is a reference to Gone with the Wind in one of the Mortal Kombat Battle Wave comics by Malibu. Did you know that?
And there's also a Gone with the Wind reference to Tekken 2.
Really?
Tekken 3. Yeah.
Oh,
There's
what is it?
Named Gone, and one of his moves is when he farts. It's called Gone with the Wind.
Oh, well, that's a real gas.
Yeah. It always made me laugh. But what were you saying about Gone with the Wind in Mortal Kombat?
Oh, there is a reference to it in Battle Wave. It's the issue with Smoke and Jade on the cover. So I forget which one that is. Maybe Battle Wave number 3, 2 or 3.
I have that one. I don't know which one you're talking. I think I have that one that you're talking about.
But, yeah, if you leaf through it, you'll see what I mean. They're talking about it. There's a scene where Smoke and Jade are like in an airplane, and I think Johnny Cage and Jax are fighting against the two of them. So it's pretty cool.
Mm. Yeah, and it would be fun. It would be funny if Johnny would say, "Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn."
That's exactly what he says.
Wow.
They might have changed "damn" to "darn." I don't remember now.
Yeah. Or crap.
Yeah, I don't know if they would change it to that. So where are we? Where are we on the questions? I know we got kind of sidetracked there.
That's all of the questions.
Oh, that's it. Okay. Yeah. Well, dude, this was so much fun. I really enjoyed asking you. Is there any other questions that you can think of off the top of your head that you might want to just ask me, spontaneously?
Yeah. Who's your least favorite Mortal Kombat character?
Oh. I guess for the longest time I would have said Su Hao. And it's weird because he's making a comeback all of a sudden by people who are nostalgic for the 3D era. And I never thought I would see that happen in my lifetime, but people are asking for Su Hao fans to come back. It's crazy. Like when they saw that thing with the billboard with the Su Hao watches, they went nuts. There's not as many Su Hao fans as there are like Mileena fans, which you see a lot of on social media if you've been paying attention to that.
Yeah, they're like, bring Mileena back, bring Mileena back, bring Mileena back, bring Armac back, bring Reptile back. We want them back.
Yeah, this is a lot of people are pretty vocal about characters like Melina and Reptile, and people used to be like that for Jade for a while, and she's in. I can't
Yeah,
imagine. I can't imagine what they'd be saying right now if she wasn't.
uh,
Um, but
just
Melina's sitting this game out. It looks like so. But there'll always be more MK games,
like if it wasn't for Mortal Kombat Gold, like the last time you would have seen characters like Jade, Sindel, and Baraka would be like arcade wise would have been like Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, and they brought back the nostalgic characters for Mortal Kombat Deception, like Melina,
Yeah,
Baraka, Sindel,
yeah.
Jade.
No, Reptile was in Deadly Alliance, and they left him out of Deception, but like Onaga was in his body technically,
Yeah,
so. Yeah, they always have like a good. They always try to bring back a certain number of characters for each game, and you can't bring back everybody for every game. Like I think they want to leave Kenshi out of this one because it's like, well, Kenshi was in MK9 as DLC, then he was again in MKX, and if they put him in MK11, that's like 3 in a row, and it's like, is Kenshi really that important? And Katana has definitely been in 3 in a row. Like Kenshi's not quite at the level of Katana. So,
right.
and I think she was like a really central character to the story to have her, But Melina was near Empress, or I guess they would say Khanum now for in MKX. So they've really elevated Melina to a role that she's never had before. So I think that really like got her fan base excited about her. So it'll be cool to see if they bring her back in Combat Pack 2.
Yeah, if there is a combat pack too.
Oh yeah, come on, there's gonna be.
Yeah, and then we have to wait another year for like Mortal Kombat 11 like complete edition or whatever.
Yeah, well, if you have all the combat packs, I think you'll have sort of assembled the complete edition on your own.
Yeah, but I only had like one of them for Mortal Kombat X, and then I decided to get Mortal Kombat XL.
Yeah, that's probably a good decision.
And I also have like the original version of Mortal Kombat 2011, and then I got Mortal Kombat Complete Edition.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and in a way, that's actually helping NetherRealm Studios out. They
Um,
got
yeah, I
the
think it all helps. I think it all helps. Anytime you buy DLC, if you wait until you buy the complete edition, like they're selling it all, and they know that if whatever customers don't get one, they can get the other. So
yeah,
it's all good. Either
and
way, you're supporting the franchise.
yep. And I remember when I would go bowling go with my father when he went to play bowling during the week. The bowling alley that had a little arcade, and in that little arcade, they actually had Mortal Kombat 2, and this was when I was in high school or middle school, and I would actually, since I was ungrounded, I was actually able to play for the first time the arcade version of Mortal Kombat 2.
Awesome.
And I played the arcade version of Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 when I was either in Miami or San Antonio. And it was in the hotel that we were in. And my foster brother at the time, we were taking turns playing it. And one time he was playing, I think, as Sub-Zero. And he was fighting up against Reptile. And he actually lost. And Reptile did one of his fatalities, like the one where he eats the head and upper torso.
Yep.
And we were like, whoa, didn't expect to see that.
No, you really don't. There was a problem that I had with the gore in that game where like the legs would just kind of be hanging there, and like
Yeah, like
it,
or
or
just
sometimes the hands would actually be disconnected from the body and they'd just be floating. It's like,
yeah,
okay,
like
never mind the 20 like legs and rib cages and all this other crazy stuff.
the multiple skulls and rib
Yeah.
cages.
Yeah, that was another thing that I meant to complain about when you were asking me about my least favorite fatality. Like that stuff could ruin otherwise good fatalities. I think the level of gore that they had for MK2 was really perfect because, when a head fell off the body, it rolled off the body and it looked really natural. And in MK3, when a head falls off, it's like the head's facing you and the head just kind of moves this way. And it looks kind of cheap and lazy. And it's not that hard to program in rotation. Like they've done it before. They know how to do it, and yet they're not. So it just looked to me like something was off about it. And they even the developers themselves, they look back at that and they're like, I don't know what we were thinking. We thought that it was going to look cool. At the time, we thought it would be awesome, but it's really not. So, live and learn.
Maybe they were in a time crunch and weren't able to fully animate it.
But I will say this. Looking back now, all these years later, if they gave like a classic character a fatality where it did that to their opponent in a game like MK11, it's at the point where enough time has passed, we could say, okay, that's a cool throwback. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if they actually did have 20 rib cages and like 13 skulls and all that crazy stuff, it would actually not be too bad these days.
Yeah, and also I remember watching this one video on YouTube. It was like Katana versus Shiran or something like that, and they would it would be like Shirani Ryu would like her bust buster and and you see like the boob bone and Shao Kahn was just sitting there like this and he's like, wait, what? And then he pulls out a book and you see the Mortal Kombat Dragon logo and it says human anatomy and it shows like so and so number of legs, rib cages and stuff like that, and then it says 2 boob bones and he's like, I'll be damned.
That's crazy. If you find that, link to it in the description, and use the timestamp if anything, because it sounds like this would be part of a longer video where they like have tons and tons of stuff going on. But I love seeing crazy stuff like that. Some of these animators, they go so over the top with these things. They come up with the most creative, inventive things that you could imagine. And I love watching that stuff from, like College Humor did a thing, and, Dorkly does a lot of them. We see like custom animators like from back in the day on Newgrounds. And I remember names like Y Disciple. I remember some of the newer names like Rick Pendragon. Justin McCollum does things like this. There's just so many. I'd like to give everybody a shout out. There's just too many names that I can't think of all of them. But I'll say Weapon Lord is another one of these guys. They come up with all kinds of cool stuff, and I love watching them.
Yeah, for the Newgrounds ones, I like the Fatalities.
Yeah. Those are great. And he came up with like an awesome name. Half the fun is coming up with a really cool name, and he did it.
Yeah, and I like the part where it's when I think it was Reptile turns into the monkey and goes after a Striker, and then you see Reptile coming scream running then go into another screen, and then you see Striker turn into this version of a T-Rex, and it roars like the T-Rex from Jurassic Park. And then it actually has use the expression shitting bricks, and Reptile does that and he runs away screaming, and then
you can't even talk about it without laughing.
I know, it's just funny. And also using the Scout's voice for Striker from Team Fortress 2.
Awesome, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. And
all right, buddy. Well, I'm gonna have to call it short soon. I've really got some other things I need to get to. I had so much fun with this, and I don't want it to end. But
thanks.
But you know what? Why don't you finish your thought though? Because I do want to hear what you had to say.
Okay. I was actually applying for a scholarship for this one school that is now no longer around. It was called Collins College.
Okay.
And I actually had the sound and stuff like that from Mortal Kombat 3 and so on and so forth. and I took sound recorder because I had a Windows XP laptop at the time.
Yeah.
And I actually mixed certain sounds together, and I actually did the audio version of one of Cabal's fatalities, and like the one where he takes off his mask, screams at the screen, and then screams at the opponent. I actually did my own version of that, and it sounded just like as if you would be playing the game, and that actually happened. And I played that for one of the admissions officers, and they said, "Wow, that's pretty spot on. We'll actually consider giving you a full scholarship to the school because you're so good." And later on, I found out that they couldn't because they were actually filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy because not a lot of students were attending that school.
Wow. Yeah, that's a shame, man. That could have been a good thing for you. So if I was to listen to that audio file, and I assume you don't have it anymore, but if I were to listen to it, how would I be able to differentiate it from the official MK3 audio? In other words, how would I know you didn't just do a fatality and hit record?
And then just transfer it to a WAV at the time.
Yeah. How would I know you didn't just open up sound recorder, hit record, and then do a fatality, and then hit stop?
Probably because I didn't have a microphone at the time. Oh.
No, but you don't need a microphone. You can play it on your computer. Just hit the record button and record what your audio out's doing. Like, in other words, how do I know you really mixed it yourself? How do I know you didn't actually just record game audio?
Well, because I didn't have any emulators or stuff like that on my laptop.
Okay. So, all right, let me put it another way. Because you could have from another computer. Like, I don't know what you have on your computer or don't have. I don't know what equipment you have access to. If all I'm hearing is a sound file, is there anything that I could do to listen to it that I could say, oh, that's actually a little bit different? The game didn't do it like that, so I know this was mixed all by you. Was there anything like that?
Well, I used this type of music that I thought was the fatality tone, like that they played before doing the fatality.
Right.
And that's the only different thing.
Oh, okay, perfect. So that would prove that you put the whole thing together because the beginning doesn't match and everything else, you couldn't have mixed the screams and all the other stuff in with the wrong tone unless you put together everything. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I'm sorry it didn't work out with your scholarship, but it looks like everything turned out okay for you after all. And as they say, all's well that ends well.
Yeah. Now I'm starting to become incredibly popular because of these interviews and stuff like that.
Yes, you are.
I used to have like 71 or so subscribers to my YouTube channel. Now I have like at least 82.
Wow. Well, it can be slow in the beginning, but sometimes there's that one interview that will really like help build your channel. So keep at it, man. Keep plugging away.
Yeah. And I'm gonna hit stop recording right now.